Hey everybody, welcome back to Brent's Backyard Redneckery. Today we're going to be making the mulled apple cider. So what I'm going to do is take all my apple peels and cores, the juice that I got from cooking my apples, along with all the extra spices here and there. We're going to get all that mixed together and make this stuff up. So sit back, I'll tell you what you need to do. Let's get started. All right, so what we've got here, I've got my big Vasconia that I got off of Amazon for like 25 bucks, man. You can't beat that. 7 gallons for 25 bucks. Look at that beast. And then here, got my apple cores and apple peels. Don't get in there, bug. We're going to be cooking that in. And last but not least, got my apple juice from the apples that I cooked. So we're going to add all that into the pot. And I've got a little bit of water back here, just in case I need to raise the level. So I'm going to go ahead and get all that added in there and get this started. All right, so I got everything in here. I've got right at 2 quarts of that apple juice and then added a gallon of water. So we're going to get this grill turned on. I've just got it running at a medium-low heat. Once it gets up to a boil, I'm going to drop it down some. I'm going to let it sit there and reduce a little bit, and then we'll see how much juice is left. Strain that out, put in our spices, throw it on the stove inside, and finish it up. All right, so this has been cooking now for about a half an hour. Let's take a look inside. So things are starting to break down a little bit. Our temperature's up to about 150. So once this gets up to boiling, everything will really start to break down a little bit more. I'll be able to get my meat smasher and smash all this stuff up to where it'll blend in a little bit better. And then I'll be able to boil it down inside to where I want it to be. So yeah, this is going to turn out really good. Looks like we're about up to 190. Everything's breaking down a lot better now. So the closer we get to that boiling point, the better this is going to break down, and the more easy it's going to be to finish it out, squeeze out all the rest of the juices and all that jazz. Come on, don't fall off in there. All right, so I'm going to let that finish up, and then we'll get it inside because it's about to rain. All right, so it's nice and hot in this thing. We're up to almost boiling, but this is what I was talking about. I'm going to use my meat chomper. I can crush all these cores, chop those up a little bit more. That way I can blend up everything I possibly can while this stuff is inside this boiling. I think I'm going to take it inside, strain out the juice, and start adding in my spices. One thing I did figure out, there's too much juice in this for me to use my other smaller container. But the first thing I'm going to do here, take out all of these strips of what used to be colorful peel, and I'm just going to pop them in my metal mesh here and strain off any excess juice that I can, crushing the pieces of apple core and the leftover peel. So I'm going to put as much juice in there as I can, toss this stuff in my compost, and I'm going to do that for this whole bucket and then dump the juice back in there, and then we'll get it cooking. All right, so I got everything strained out. Let's take a look at it. What we have here is basically unsweetened apple cider. You can see the little bit of cloudiness in it, so you know that's going to be cider. It's not filtered like it would be for a clear apple juice. I'm going to get everything ready. We'll take this outside and cook it into some mulled cider. All right, so I've got it on the grill warming back up. While it's getting back up to the boil, I'll go ahead and go over what ingredients we're going to put into this. All right, so I've got cinnamon sticks. We're going to use 10 of those to start. My wife likes this stuff really clovey. So I've got whole cloves. I'm going to put about 6 in there and let that go and soak in. My dry ingredients, I've got, that's allspice ground, so I don't have any whole. And then got light brown sugar, and underneath, dark brown sugar. In total, I'm going to do 6 whole cloves to start. I've got 10 cinnamon sticks. The light brown sugar and dark brown's a cup apiece. There's also 1 teaspoon of salt in there. Allspice is 2 teaspoons. And then I've got a whole nutmeg I'm going to crack in half and drop in with it. We're going to let that simmer and see how it goes. We'll check in on it as it cooks down. If you've never used whole nutmeg, that's what it looks like whenever you crack it open. So we're just going to drop that down in the dry stuff, and we'll dump it all in at once as soon as this gets up to boiling. So we're finally up to our boil. What we're going to do now is just drop all this in at once, and then there's all that steam there. It's going to be difficult to see. Might be a little better once I start stirring. but no, I'm wrong. See if I can fan that away. See if we can see down in there a little bit better. There we go. Now we can see how it's changed into a nice dark mulled cider look. Just gonna let that come back up to boiling. I'm gonna lower the heat and let it simmer for a little bit and then give it a taste and see how it's doing. All right, we've been simmering now for about 15 minutes. Let's have a look here and see what we're... Yay, drop the lid. Hot diggity. Cinnamon sticks are starting to fall apart, so that's good. There we go. Man, that smells good. Looks like it's cooked down just about enough to where I can put it in my smaller pot and put it on my stove inside so it can simmer down the rest of the way. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, so I got it inside. It does fit inside this. So I'm going to pop a lid on it and let it simmer a little while longer. And then I'm going to let my wife taste test it because she likes it and she knows what she wants. That's what she's going to get. All right, so I did the taste test on the wife. Said something's missing, but she can't put her finger on it. And then went with dark brown sugar. I'm going to start off here adding a half a cup of packed brown sugar. All right, so I'm going to stir this up here. Let it simmer for a little while longer. Have her retest it and see how good it is. So the sweetness now and the spices are good. The apple flavor is a little bit weak, so I pulled out my juicer and juiced one apple. So we're going to add that to it. So I had an extra one. I've got that tossed in there. Going to let that mix around and simmer for a little bit. I'll have to strain it again because there's chunks in there, but I have to strain out the spices anyway. So we'll let that simmer and then see how that tastes. All right, so I ended up adding 3 apples to this that I juiced, and it's finished simmering up. I'm going to go ahead and strain this so we can see what it looks like once all the funk is out of it. All right, so we're going to pour this through here and just hope that this doesn't fall off. I'll see what kind of remnants we have in here. So that's what your cinnamon sticks are going to look like once they've completely soaked up everything, like old paper. And then all the other funk in there. So we'll just toss this out. I'm going to put that into a container, and then I'm also going to use a little bit of it for another video to make some mulled apple cider syrup. All right, so for the first bit of this, you can always repurpose your name brand or off-brand apple juice container. And we're probably going to use this stuff for Halloween night, possibly at Christmas. So I've got a little bit over a gallon. So I'll be able to save a gallon of this for drinking and enjoying around, I don't know, a nice campfire, a movie, however you want to use it. Doesn't really matter. But it will be tasty, I guarantee. So there's what we ended up with the one. It's nice and cloudy the way I want it to be. So that's good. And then that's what I got left over. I'm going to take some of that, put it in another one of these, and to make the rest of it into that syrup. All right, so if you guys make this stuff, be sure to let me know and see what you think about it. One thing I do want to let you know is if you store it in the fridge, you're looking at about a 2-week window in which to use it. You can freeze it for up to 3 or 4 months and then use it again later, which is probably what I'll do for the whole Christmas shindig and New Year's because I have so much of it. But anyway, if you guys like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, leave me a comment, come back next time. I'll tell you what you need to do.